you have the best guide to the sacred land of Vrindavan, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can anyone hear me? Haribo. Let us begin this yatra in Sri Vrindavan, Dham, and Govardhan Hill by individually and collectively offering our very sincere gratitude to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada, and to all of our worshipped acharyas of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. It is by their mercy, their grace, that the doors to Vrindavan have been opened to all of us. Imagine Srila Prabhupada leaving the holiest place of Radha Damodar temple in his very old age, to perform an impossible mission, to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya. The message of Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, with the Mahabhav of Sri Radharani, tasting the sweetness of her love and spreading that love into this world. A very essential aspect of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and message was to reveal the glories and the pastimes of Vrindavan through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, associating of devotees, and developing a sincere taste for hearing the glories of the Lord in the association of devotees. It had never gone beyond India. Srila Prabhupada alone ventured on that cargo ship and traveled around the world 12 times, tirelessly, through his books, through his lectures, and especially through inspiring and empowering devotees. He performed a miracle that has never been seen in our history. When Srila Prabhupada was alone in New York City in 1965, he had no followers, he had no money, he was practically homeless. He had just had heart attacks, ill health, but he wouldn't give up because he had such profound compassion for all living beings. His love for Sri Radha, Govinda, was so ecstatically great. On the order of his spiritual master, according to the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, he wanted to share it with everyone. And he requested each and every one of his followers, for all generations, to share this wonderful treasure of bhakti with each other and with the world. Kali Yuga is a time of quarrel and hypocrisy. It does not surprise devotees when they see the perils, the sufferings, the strifes, the wars. But it breaks our hearts. It breaks the hearts of the true Vaishnavas to see all of the inflictions of pain that people cause to each other simply because we have forgotten our relationship with Krishna. This was a seed of Krishna consciousness going to the whole world. When Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada told our Srila Prabhupada at their first meeting that there will always be changes in this world, socially, politically, structurally. The time of my grandparents, there were practically no cars on the road. Only the military could ride in airplanes. There was no television. Look at how the world has changed. But actually, all these changes, we might be very proud of our science and very proud of our technology and very proud of all of our apparent progress. As Srila Prabhupada described, it's really details. These changes are always happening. But the one truth is that we are eternal souls. We are not these bodies, and we are not the designations of these bodies. And the nature of the soul is to love Krishna and to serve Krishna. And unless we rediscover this truth, whatever efforts we make to improve the situation of the world are destined to fail. Why? Because birth, old age, disease, and death will come to everyone, but it cannot touch the eternal soul. And that's who we are. Srila Prabhupada did not come just to teach us that we're eternal souls. He did not come to teach us the pure liberated state beyond birth, old age, disease, and death. He taught us the essence of all dharma, prema pumarta mahan, to love God. And he didn't come just to teach us love of God. He taught us what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the world. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Padayate. What no avatar, what no aspect of God had ever given. To freely give entrance into the love of God in His most inclusive and sweetest eternal reality of Vrindavan. In our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, we have come for this yatra. And honest gratitude is when we are willing to commit ourselves to reciprocate with what we are receiving and who we are receiving. There seems to be quite a lot of devotees assembled. And how pleased Srila Prabhupada must be to see this. And how humbled we are that by his magnanimous compassion, we could be here. We show our gratitude by how we respect each other, cooperate with each other, and enthusiastically hear the glories of the Lord and chant His holy names. We have gathered in the holiest of all months, Kartik, in the holiest of all places. Srila Rupa Goswami, he has written that beyond this whole material existence and all the promises of happiness, what to speak in this earth planet, even the heavenly worlds and Brahmaloka, beyond is the Brahma Jyoti. And within Brahma Jyoti, the liberated state superior to that is Vaikuntha, the place of eternal love of God. Superior to Vaikuntha is Mathura, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an original form appears. Superior to Mathura is the forests, the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Superior to even Vrindavan is Govardhan, where Krishna performs his most intimate loving pastimes. And here at Govardhan, the highest and superior most of all places is Sri Radha Kund, where Sri Radha and Govinda perform their most confidential pastimes. It truly is a rare fortune that we are here. But in order to open our minds and our hearts to truly receive the good fortune that we're given, we must appreciate it, at least strive and pray to grasp how rare this really is. Please do not think I've been here before. Please do not think that this is another yatra. There's been so many yatras, and I'm very happy to be on this yatra. Please do not misunderstand and lose the opportunity. This is the rarest moment of our life. That should be our meditation. Being here at this time with these devotees is the supremely rarest, most treasured moment of my life. It's so beyond the conceivability of our mind to understand the fortune we're being given. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamya. Krishna tells, as we surrender, he will reciprocate. These moments on this yatra are so precious. And if we pray to really understand that, then we could actually surrender at every moment here. The opulence of a yatra is our sincerity to surrender to God's love. We've come as beggars, beggars for bhakti, beggars to serve. Lord Brahma came to Vrindavan, and when he grasped what Vrindavan was, when he understood the opportunity at that moment, he surrendered his everything, begging for bhakti. Indra, the king of the heavens, he was just close by here at Govardhan. He realized that his royal kingdom of Swargaloka, being served by heavenly denizens, demigods and demigoddesses, was all insignificant in comparison to the love that was present here in Vrindavan. Indra came here as a beggar to beg for Vrindavan Bhakti. Uddhava was Krishna's closest friend. He was living in Mathura, magnificent kingdom. He was so beautiful physically, he looked like Krishna. He was a prince. He was a disciple of the Guru of the Devatas, Brihaspati. He was continuously in the presence of Krishna. But when he came to Vrindavan, he became a beggar. He was begging for the blessings of the residents of Vrindavan. But being a royal prince, and the Brijavasis being simple cowherds, gopas, gopis, how could he surrender to them? How could he take the dust of their feet? Uddhava begged to be a little piece of grass here at Govardhan. Such a level of appreciation. You see, to the degree we have bhakti, we cannot have envy. Krishna told Arjuna, you can understand this teaching because you have no envy. And Sukadev Goswami spoke the same thing to Parikshit Maharaj. You can understand these teachings because you have no envy. Sometimes when you really have a lot, you're more prone to be envious of someone who has more. More skills, more wealth, more fame, more accomplishments, whatever. Uddhava, when he was a great lover of Krishna, famous for his love for Krishna. In Mathura and later Dwarka, he was so famous for his love for Krishna. Krishna spends more time with him than anyone. And when he came to Mathura and saw gopis and gopas, they were simply crying in separation, totally absorbed in Krishna, with so much love. Uddhava was thinking, I have no love. The world thinks I'm the greatest devotee, but in comparison to the Brijavasis, I have no love. But how did he express it internally? He wasn't envious. Rather, he celebrated their love. He wanted to serve that love. Let me be a blade of grass. Uddhava was not thinking that 5,000 years later we would be glorifying him as a blade of grass. He just wanted to secretly, privately just be a blade of grass where nobody even knew he existed, but he could get the dust of feet of gopis. That's how much he appreciated the bhakti of others. And why does a devotee appreciate the bhakti in others and not feel envy? Because bhakti means samsadhyar haritoshanam. It means to please Krishna. If this person is pleasing Krishna in a wonderful way, Krishna is only pleased by love. If somebody is giving so much love and doing so many wonderful things in their love, the gopis' wonderful things is they would just sing and make butter and take care of some cows, sometimes babies. Not a very majestic service. But this great royal prince could understand they're doing it with love. And this principle brings us to the heart of Lord Chaitanya's teaching, Gopi Bharathur Padakamalayora Dasa Dasa Das Anudas. To be servant of gopis. Because that spirit gives the most pleasure to our beloved Lord. And Yudhisthira Maharaj, we know from Mahabharata all the difficulties and trials and battles that he and his brother, the Pandavas, went through. And eventually, Yudhisthira Maharaj became the emperor of the world. But he and his brothers came to Vrindavan begging to be trees on the banks of Shamakund. Simple trees, begging for the Bhakti of Vrindavan. Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, they were chief ministers of a great kingdom. They had magnificent palaces, great scholars, beautiful bodies. At the peak of their youth, they were so popular by everyone. They left it all to be beggars in Vrindavan. Literally Madhukari. They left everything behind to wear the kopans from the discarded cloth of the Brijavasis. They would make their kopans. They would beg house to house for some chickpeas or some rotis. They slept under trees every night. And Raghunath Das Goswami, the only heir of immense wealth, immense power, immense influence, everything material that people of this world could want, the Goswamis had access to it all. But they came to Vrindavan as beggars, to beg for the love of Krishna, to beg for the mercy of Sri Radharani, to beg to be a servant of a servant. And when our beloved founder Acharya was going, when he left Vrindavan to go to the west, when he was at the Boston Harbor 60 years ago, he wrote that beautiful prayer. And he signed his prayer, "You're insignificant beggar." A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. He didn't come to conquer the world for himself. He came begging Krishna to serve. To serve by sharing this glorious message with the whole world. In Lord Chaitanya's pastime, there was a devotee, Subudhi Rai. He was a very wealthy person very politically powerful. And there were reversals in his life where he was very much rejected. And great Brahmins and great astrologers said, you just have to end your life and take another birth. There's nothing you could do. But Lord Chaitanya, he said, just leave everything behind, go to Vrindavan, and just serve all the devotees there. Remember Krishna, chant the holy names of Krishna, and be eternally happy. Subhuti Rai, from his great wealth and power, he was just roaming through the forests of Vrindavan, just picking up sticks and selling things and buying some mustard oil to massage Bengali devotees. Whatever little he could collect, he would get rice for devotees to cook and serve. And he would love to just show people around the forests of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada taught us that the spirit of Harinam Sankirtan, as we're chanting the Maha Mantra, we are begging, we are praying, my dear Radha, O energy of the Lord, my dear Krishna, please engage me in your loving service. This is the spirit Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas taught us of how we should chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. In Shikshastakam, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying, Nayanam Galata Shrudharaya. He's begging for this love, where tears will fall from his eyes, his hair stands on end, and his limbs tremble when he's chanting the holy names of the Lord. Narottam Das Thakur was also a great prince with a great inheritance. He came to Vrindavan to beg for bhakti. Gauranga polite habe pulaka sari, Hari Hari bolite nayane babinir. He's praying, he's begging. When will that day be? When chanting the name of Gauranga, who's Radha, Krishna, tears will fall from my eyes, my limbs will tremble, my hairs will stand on end. And when he's praying in this way, it's not that he wants to just enjoy love of God. It's because this type of love is what gives pleasure to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. In the spiritual world, beyond the realm of material existence, beyond the Brahmajyoti and beyond Vaikuntha is Krishna Loka. And within Krishna Loka is Goloka, which is it is called upon as the Madhurya Dham. It's the abode of the ultimate sweetness. In Goloka Vrindavan, the absolute truth reveals and shares the fullest, most inclusive expressions of his love. In Goloka Vrindavan, his love is so sweet. It inspires the devotees to love in such a deep way that Krishna becomes conquered by that love. In Goloka Vrindavan, according to Garga Samhita, this Giriraj Govardhan is a manifestation of Krishna's ecstatic, infinite love for Srimati Radharani, his supreme lover. There it is described that one day Radha and Krishna were sitting alone, and Srimati Radharani, she whispered to Krishna, "I will be most happy if you create a most pleasing place for us to perform our pastimes. Let this be our favorite place." To please Sri Radha, Krishna entered into a state of deep meditation, meditating on his infinite, ever-increasing love for Sri Radharani. And in that meditation, he contemplated manifesting that love into a holy place. From the very core of Krishna's heart, his love for Sri Radha emerged in the form of a seed of divine fire. It soared through the air and landed in the holy soil of Braj Bhumi. And there that seed began to grow into a hill, and then a mountain, and it grew into Giriraj, the king of all mountains. And right before Radha and Gopinath's eyes, on that mountain, waterfalls, rivers, lakes, cows, every stone was more brilliant than jewels. It was the most beautiful place in the most beautiful part of the spiritual world. And Garga Samhita describes Radha and Krishna held hands and entered Govardhan to explore the beauties of Giriraj. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga of our time, Krishna approached Srimati Radharani that it is time for me to incarnate within the material world on the planet Earth. Please accompany me. Whatever pleases you, but we will be truly most happy if the Yamuna, the Vrindavan forest, and Giriraj Govardhan come with us. Krishna said, I've already sent them. They are there waiting for us. What is this Vrindavan? What are the glories that we've come here, as Satchidananda Maharaj described, searching for? To understand Vrindavan is the highest spiritual science. We begin with Bhagavad Gita, and there's a gradual evolution of grace that comes through what Krishna has given us. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us the nature of the soul. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. The soul never born and never dies. The soul is eternal. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The soul is eternally a part and parcel of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells not only the nature of the eternal soul, which is full of knowledge and full of bliss, but the nature of material existence, the nature of Maya, the nature of illusion, the nature of actions and reactions of karma, the very fundamental, basic nature of all suffering. What is suffering and why are we suffering? And Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita various forms of yoga to seek happiness and relief of suffering. It's karma yoga, jnana yoga, astanga yoga, yoginamapi sarvesham madginetanatmana. Of all yogis, one who is my devotee, one who abides in me with faith, is the most perfect and intimate united with me in yoga. As far as jnana, bahunam janmanamante jnanavam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlava. After many, many births and deaths of cultivating knowledge, when one finally comes to true knowledge, one surrenders to me. Such a great soul is very rare. Daiviheshu gunamai mama maya duratyaya. Material nature is very difficult to overcome. But if you surrender to me, you'll easily cross beyond it. And Krishna describes to us who he is. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravetati. All material and all spiritual worlds emanate from me. The wise who know this perfectly worship me with all their hearts. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tatami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapayantite. Only one who serves me with love, to such a person I give the understanding how they can come to me. Bhakti mama bijananti. I can only be known in truth through bhakti. And Krishna concludes, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. Abandon all dharmas and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you. This is Krishna's promise. And the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyashim namamavaskuru. Always think of me, worship me, become my devotee, and offer homage to me, and you will come to me without fail. This is my promise. Bhagavad Gita is within Mahabharata. Vyasdev was not satisfied, even after writing all these transcendental Vedic literatures. But by the instruction of his guru Narada, he wrote the very essence and cream of all Vedic literature, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And how do we understand Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam? There's description of the Vaikunthas where Narayan resides, who's an expansion of Krishna. Expansions of the Lord of Vaikuntha is Mahavishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu. He's an expansion of a plenary expansion of Krishna. He's the Lord of the entire cosmic manifestation. He's the Paramatma of creation. By his exhalations, all universes manifest. By his inhalation, they are all destroyed. By his glance, he impregnates every living being in every planet and every universe. And then within every universe, he expands as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he not only has the Vaikuntha planet in every universe, but he lives within the heart of every living being. From without, he knows everything. The Supreme Absolute Truth, the Lord knows everything. And from within, he knows everything. And when it's time for incarnations, from Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Krishna incarnates, and we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, inconceivable, unlimited, amazing glories of Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Lord Varahadev. When Srila Prabhupada would challenge us, you say God is great, but Srimad Bhagavatam gives us samples of how great God is. And when we think this is just some sort of mythology or symbolic lessons, that's all right on one level if you learn those lessons. But if you really want to surrender to the Lord with love, we must appreciate his Achintya Shakti, his inconceivable, unlimited potencies. Lord Varahadev, he came as a boar and lifted the earth planet within his tusks. How powerful. And then in the next incarnation, he appeared as Lord Narasimhadev. The power and the wrath of God has never been manifested like this. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita, he also appeared as Virat Rupa, where he was consuming everything in the universe. Lord Narasimhadev, when he roared, even Lakshmi and Brahma could not approach him. Only little Prahlad, because of his love and devotion, 5-year-old child. And Vamanadev, he comes as a dwarf, very small boy, but yet with 2 steps he covered the entire universe. Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with descriptions of these glorious incarnations. And then in the 9th canto, the story of Lord Ramchandra, Sitaram, Hanuman, their beautiful pastimes are disclosed. And Bhagavatam describes Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the origin of all of them. And when we speak of origin, that is not a chronological estimation. In this world, we think chronologically, that one must come before the other. These avatars are eternal, but Krishna is the origin because he possesses all the qualities of all of them, because they are all one. They are all one person in different manifestations. But the beautiful sweetness of Krishna's pastimes, the sweetness of Krishna's loving relations with his devotees, the sweetness of Krishna's all-attractive beauty, and the sweetness of Krishna's flute, the sweet sound, is beyond all other avatars. So step by step, we learn the nature of the soul, the nature of the world, the nature of God, the nature of God's greatness. And then we come to the 10th canto, where Sukadeva Goswami begins his narration of the pastimes of Gopal. How he appears in Mathura and in Mahavan Gokul. And the descriptions of Krishna in his childhood sets him apart from all avatars in such a beautiful, intimate way. Yes, Varahadev, not only did he save the earth by lifting, but he killed Hiranyaksha with his tusk and his hoof. Nrsingadev with his claws. Ramchandra with his arrows. Parasuram with his axe. When Krishna was just born, Putana, who was every bit as powerful as these demons who the other incarnations had fought battles with. Krishna was just a few days old. He didn't grow. He didn't have any weapons. She disguised herself as a lovely lady to give her his milk, her milk, which had deadly poison. And Krishna, with his little tiny hands, simply squeezed her and drank her milk and drank her life out of her. He didn't change his form, he didn't use a weapon, and he did it in such a way that none of the residents of Vrindavan could detect that he was God. His beauty and innocence as a baby overwhelmed them with so much love They couldn't think beyond that. It must be Narayan's mercy that saved him. And when he was just a couple months old, the Uttana ceremony, when a child just begins to lean to start to crawl, preliminary to crawling, there was a great festival. Srila Prabhupada describes in Vedic culture, at every stage of a child's growth and development, they celebrate with wonderful festivals that are all purely spiritual by nature for blessings. Gopal, 3 months old, he became tired, and Yashoda Mai was carrying him, and she was greeting so many guests. And Srila Prabhupada describes how wonderful this motherly affection was exchanged with children. You cannot overestimate the importance of motherly love for a child's development. When Yashoda Mai saw Krishna was tired, she didn't just put him to bed. She laid down with him. She laid down beside Krishna and embracing him so that he felt completely protected by his mother's love. And after he fell asleep, then she got up and did her duties. Krishna, Yashoda Mai set him under a cart that had pots on top of it. And little Gopal wanted his mother's milk. With his tiny little lotus foot, which is softer than a lotus petal, he cried and he just kicked his little foot, just a few inches. And incidentally, it happened to hit the wheel of the cart. The whole cart collapsed. The axle broke. The wheels broke. There was a demon in that cart named Sakatasura. Describes he had a ghostly body, and he entered that cart to kill Krishna. He didn't use bows and arrows. He didn't fight like a wrestler. He didn't even kick to kill the demon. He kicked because he wanted his mother's milk. And just by the way, he incidentally killed the powerful demon Sakatasura. Do we find any other avatars who show so much power with such innocence, sweetness, and love? That is Gopal. You see, systematically, we understand all these different teachings, so that when we actually hear about the story of Krishna's loving relationship with the gopis and gopas, we understand who he actually is. We are philosophically grounded in such a way that when we hear about Krishna's loving leelas, we have deep faith in the siddhanta of the truth. And we appreciate that when that little baby's crying for his mother, literally crying, hungry for milk, and kills powerful demons while doing that. That is the supreme absolute truth. Soon after, Yashoda put Krishna down because he was feeling heavy. And then Kamsa sent Trinavarta. Such a demon. He came in the form of a whirlwind. And he lifted up Krishna, was bringing him higher and higher and higher into the sky. And little Gopal did not become bigger. With the same little size, he just became heavier than a mountain. And Trinavarta was trying to pull Krishna off, but Krishna held onto his neck with his little arm, and he squeezed. Trinavarta was being choked. His eyes were bulging. He lost all his strength, and ultimately he fell to the ground miles and miles from the sky and crashed into the rocks of the ground of Mahaban. And all his limbs and bones were dislocated. Krishna was crawling around like a little baby on his chest. And the gopis ran to collect him and bring him to Yashoda. And did they worship him as God? They were performing pujas for God to protect him from further calamities. When Krishna was at Brahmandagat, his mother looked in his mouth, searching for dirt. His friend said, Gopal ate dirt. Yashoda, she saw the entire universe with mountains, oceans, planets, and all living beings in Gopal's mouth. The universe didn't shrink. Gopal's mouth didn't grow. How is that possible? This is knowledge. When our knowledge of God empowers us to have faith in the inconceivable nature of the absolute truth, that is true knowledge. And that knowledge reaches its ultimate culmination in the pastimes of Krishna. I just listened to an initiation lecture that Srila Prabhupada was giving, and he was describing the 10 offenses of the holy name. And in the first offense, not to blaspheme great devotees, Srila Prabhupada said, the great devotees who are the founders and saints of all religions, we should never discredit them. We should never speak against them. They are great devotees of the Lord. How could one have such an openness with such profound and deep faith in the path that we are following? This is Krishna. Krishna includes all other avatars. Bhakti includes every aspect of yoga and religion, but it is beyond. Yes. When we hear about the universe being contained in Gopal's little mouth, we don't think this is an imagination. The more inconceivable it is, the more our faith is inspired. How wonderful is Krishna? in his Poganda Lila, Krishna's playing with his friends in Satyarasa. They don't see him as God. He's just the most wonderful, loving friend. None of the cowherd boys could ever for a moment stop thinking of loving feelings for the pleasure of Krishna. And to please Krishna, they will play games, they will wrestle, they will even be victorious. Unless we understand these principles, can we really appreciate the love of the gopis? Krishna's lovers? The scriptures and the acharyas declare the gopis' love to be the purest, most all-inclusive of all expressions of divine love. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells that Krishna lived in Mahaban for 3 years and 4 months. And then, after Nala Kuvera and Manigriva were delivered, they left Mahavan and crossed the Yamuna and moved to Chatikar and Kamyavan and other such forests of Vrindavan until Krishna was 6 years and 8 months. And then Krishna and Balaram lived in Nandagaon until he was 10 years and 8 months old. And it was at that time that a Krura came and crossed Yamuna with Krishna Balaram to bring them to Mathura. Krishna resided in Mathura for 28 years and 4 months. And then due to so many disturbances of so many demons, they moved to Dwarka. Krishna lived in Dwarka with Balaram for 96 years and 8 months. That means they were away from Vrindavan for over 1 century. Yugayatam nameshena chakshusha pravrishayatam sunyayatam jagat sarvam govinda vidahename. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of a gopi, a resident of Vrindavan, in the mood of Sri Radha, he's praying that with the blinking of an eye, a nimesh, 1/12 of a second, that 1/12 of a second of a blinking of an eye, the gopis are feeling the separation of a yuga. To make it understandable to us, Srila Prabhupada translates 12 years or more. But somehow or other they lived only with the hope that Krishna would return. Because Krishna promised the day he left with Akrura that I will return. Srimad Bhagavatam describes, and within the purports, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives beautiful commentaries. And in the Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami gives the most wondrous description of Krishna's return to Vrindavan. With your permission, I will briefly speak this subject. The reason I'm speaking it will become clear as I speak it. In Dwarka, most powerful demon named Salva, he attacked all of Dwarka. It was really caused panic to everyone. And a messenger came to Vrindavan and described to Nanda Maharaj that this demon named Salva is attacking the whole of Dwarka, and the Yadus are in great danger. The Brajavasis were in so much anxiety. They were doing pujas. They were beside themselves with worry and grief for the protection of Krishna and Balaram. Just on the outskirts of Dwarka, Krishna slayed Salva. And then Narada Muni sent a message to Krishna that another demon named Dantavakra, he was at the gates of Mathura challenging Krishna for battle. This Dantavakra was overwhelmed with such anger. He was cousin brothers and best friends with Shishupal. And Krishna had killed Shishupal. He was very, very close friends and allies with Salva, and now Krishna killed him. He couldn't live with himself unless he killed Krishna. He was roaring with rage. Krishna was thinking, he's in Mathura for so many years. Ever since ever since Uddhava came with the message of gopis in Mathura, I wanted to go back to Vrindavan. And then when Balaram came and told me the pastimes that he had with the gopas and gopis and their feelings of separation, Krishna was asking Vasudeva and Devaki and his queens permission to go. But it was impossible for them to give permission. Their hearts could not contain it because they knew the supreme love of the residents of Vrindavan. If Krishna goes there, he will never come back. And we will all perish. So Krishna found an excuse. After delivering Salva, he did not go back to Dwarka. He went directly to Mathura. And there at the gates of Mathura, Dantavakra was roaring. And actually in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was blaspheming Krishna with the harshest, most terrible words of condemnation, criticism. And Krishna fought with Dantavakra for the whole day. And then with one blow of his club, he liberated Dantavakra. He entered Mathura, bathed at Vishram Ghat, and rested. And there he was feeling so close to Vrindavan. There was such eagerness and anticipation in his heart to meet the residents of Vrindavan. He began to cry. And one man walked by, and Krishna cried out, "Where is my village?" And the man, seeing Krishna in his condition, he simply they embraced and they were crying upon each other. Krishna's chariot driver, Daruka, crossed the Yamuna River. as they entered into Braj Bhumi, Krishna blew upon his conch shell, Panchajanya. The same breath that would play songs through his flute was now resounding through the conch shell. That same love of Krishna's heart, from the core of his heart, his love, it would rise into his breath and then manifest as a beautiful song through his flute. The Brijabasis never heard Panchajanya before. But when they heard that conch shell, they could recognize the love of Krishna. The same love that attracted them through the flute was now blowing through the conch shell. The Brijabasis had been in separation from Krishna for over 100 years. Tomorrow, we're celebrating Diwali. In Braj Bhumi, Diwali is the day that Yashoda Mai bound Krishna with the ropes of her love. And also here at Govardhan, Diwali is the day that Krishna manifested to Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and all the Brijabasis that Manasi Ganga was Ganga Devi herself. Ganga gave darshan to all the Brijabasis on this day. And that is why tomorrow evening there'll be thousands, tens and thousands of lamps, the same type of Diwali lamps lining all the stepways and banks and ghats of Manasi Ganga to celebrate the appearance of Krishna's power to bring the Ganga to Vrindavan. But throughout India and the world, Diwali is especially famous for the day that Ram returned to Ayodhya. And we tell so many stories about 14 years of love and separation. Kausalya and all the residents of Ayodhya. A moment was like 12 years or more for them in the separation of Ram. And how glorious it was when the lamps of their love were offered to finally welcome Ram back into Ayodhya. That was 14 years. Krishna was away for over 100 years. And the intensity of the love of the Brijabasis is even beyond the love of the residents of Ayodhya. When Krishna played upon his conch shell, and completely unexpectedly, they recognized Krishna has returned. It's compared by Jiva Goswami, that beautiful song of the conch shell, calling the Brijabasis. It was like monsoon rains falling after a century of drought. The Brijabasis, their bodies, their minds, their hearts, everything was withering in separation from Krishna. The only thing that kept them alive was the hope that he would return, because he promised. They all came running. And Krishna met them at Lohaban, one of the 12 forests of Braj Bhumi. Srila Jiva Goswami, he tells us that when they first saw the darshan of their beloved Govinda, after over 100 years of separation, they, overwhelmed with love, they became stunned. Literally, every part of their body was paralyzed by the ecstasy of their love, seeing the beauty of Krishna. And upon seeing them stunned, reciprocally, the only thing that could compare to Krishna's eagerness to meet the Brajavasis was the Brajavasis' eagerness to meet Krishna. Krishna was stunned. Nobody could speak. Nobody could move. The animals, the birds, everyone was stunned. It is described that the entire Vrindavan, there was no movement and no sound. There was just total absorption of love. Somehow or another, after some time, Nanda Maharaj and the elder cowherd men, they began to tremble and cry. And Nanda Maharaj ran toward Krishna. And when Krishna saw this, he came out of his trance and ran toward Nanda. Nanda and Yashoda are, Nanda and Gopal are running toward one another. And here is Krishna. He's Yadunath. He has 16,108 wives. Each one has 10 children. Each one of them has 10 grandchildren. He's killed all the most powerful demons in the world already. He's Dwarkadish. But yeah, when he came to Vrindavan, so overwhelmed by the Brajavasis' love, he just became Gopal again. And he jumped in the arms of Nanda Maharaj. And when they embraced, there was a massive roar of celebration of everyone in Vrindavan. Krishna is home. Krishna then reciprocated with the affection of each and every resident of Braj Dham. However many they were, he could interact with everyone simultaneously. To his elders, he took dust from their feet, and they lifted him up and embraced him with so much affection. To his friends, they just embraced and embraced and embraced and laughed and told wonderful stories to each other. And to the gopis, they gazed upon Krishna, and his wonderful smile reciprocated with all their desires. And within the very core of their heart, Krishna was exchanging the highest, deepest, and sweetest love with each gopi in a very unique way. Krishna bowed down to all the cows. He embraced each cow. The cows went in circles around Krishna, were mooing with great happiness. So happy to be with his cows again. He called out every single cow's personal name as they were running toward him. And he played his flute, a unique melody for each cow. And the cow knew Krishna's only playing this song for me. The deers, all the animals in the forest. Krishna was showing his affection to each of them. He was home. And Jiva Goswami describes so wonderfully the birds. They were flying in the sky, and in their love for Krishna, they became stunned, couldn't move their wings. But they didn't fall. The technical word, they were in suspension in the sky. Tens and thousands of birds, they were completely still, stunned in ecstasy. And Krishna looked up at this, it was just so beautiful because they had so many colors. And then Krishna glanced at each bird in such a way that each bird is thinking, Krishna's only glancing upon me. And they began to soar and flutter their wings, and they flied, and in every way they were singing wonderful songs. And each bird realized that Krishna's singing and dancing in the sky with me. It was something like a Rasika Lila in the sky with the birds. Every bird. Krishna's just singing and dancing in the sky with me. That is the power of his glance. Sing this wonderful celebration. Purnamasi, who is the Yogamaya potency in Vrindavan. She came with her students, Brinda and Nandimukhi, her granddaughter, and Madhu Mangal, to make all beautiful arrangements for this homecoming of Gopal in Vrindavan. She took Krishna to sit under a tree. And Purnamasi describes to Krishna that when you left Vrindavan, why did Krishna leave with Akrura? Because Kamsa was sending for Krishna to come for this wrestling match with great demons. Krishna left Vrindavan. He was only 10 years and 8 months. Yashoda Mai, she was still thinking, if I don't feed Krishna every day, he will die. Nanda Maharaj was still thinking, Krishna is so afraid when there's thunder and lightning, if I don't console him, he will be afraid. And now he leaves with Akrura to face Kamsa, Jarasandha, and the mightiest demons in the universe. Purnamasi said, when you left, the Brijavasis, everything they had, all their wealth, all their hearts, they were offering it in prayers for your protection. And when they heard the news that you were fighting Salva, they gave everything that was left. Every Brijavasi is now devoid of any possessions, no wealth. The whole Braj Dham is in poverty. Why? Even after 100 years of separation, at every moment they were only thinking of Krishna's protection. Such love. When Krishna heard this and saw the situation, he began to cry. And he called Daruka, his chariot driver, and told Daruka, get ornaments and clothes for me to give to all the residents of Vrindavan. Krishna began to give so many beautiful gifts to every Brijavasi. There was an unlimited supply. The chariot, it wasn't a large chariot, but the more Krishna gave, the more the chariot was filled with ornaments, clothing, and wealth. And in this way, whatever they gave to Krishna, whatever they gave for Krishna, Krishna gave everything back and more. With such love. Very similar to the beautiful story of the fruit seller. Daruka was astonished. He couldn't believe what he was saying. We enter deeper into this beautiful pastime. Krishna saw that every one of the gopas, gopis, calves, cows, every one of them was exactly the same age, form, and nature as the day he left with Akrura. And in reciprocation to their love, Krishna appeared to all the residents of Vrindavan exactly the same age, nature, and form as when he was a cowherd boy. In separation from the residents of Vrindavan for all these many, many decades, over 100 years, Krishna was always meditate upon them with so much affection. And that affection protected everybody in Vrindavan and the whole Vrindavan from the influence of time. Sunyayatam jagat sarvam. Every moment was like a yuga in separation from Krishna. The whole world was a dreary void without Krishna. But yet, although every moment seemed to the Brijavasis to be everlasting and unbearable, they did not age a single moment. Every tree, every plant, everything was as it is. Nanda Maharaj brought Krishna into the Yamuna, and they bathed with the cowherd men and the cowherd boys. And then Yashoda Mai arranged a nice lunch for them. Then Krishna called Daruka to take him on his chariot back to his home in Nandagram. What a beautiful ceremony. Krishna on his chariot was riding on the roads of Vrindavan, through the pastures and the fields, and all the residents of Vrindavan were lined up on all sides, dancing, singing, offering artis, celebrating Krishna's return. Krishna was so overwhelmed while on his chariot with a very sweet, childlike voice. Krishna cries out, Yashoda, he cried out to Yashoda, Mother, Mother, please bring me my cowherd boy garments. Because he was still dressed as a royal prince. He was still dressed in the princely garb of doing battle with war. Yashoda Mai ran and brought back Krishna's cowherd boy clothes. And Yashoda Mai, with her own loving hands, she took off the royal garments of Krishna and dressed him again, just like she did at Nandagram, with his turban, his cowherd boy clothes. And this was the first time Krishna was in the clothes of a cowherd boy for a century. And he was so overwhelmed, he began to cry, and he called out to Yashoda Mai, bring me my flute, my stick, and my peacock feather. Yashoda Mai ran to get them. The love of Yashoda, the happiness of Yashoda, placing the flute in Krishna's hand, the first time he held it in so long, and the stick for herding cows, and then she lovingly placed the peacock feather in his turban. For Krishna, his most precious, long-lost treasures were again given back to him. Krishna was in the exact same form and mood as before he left Vrindavan with the Akrura. Yashoda Mai put Krishna on her lap and gazed upon his most beautiful, childlike, smiling face. And although she's well over 100 years old, the milk of her motherly love were pouring from her breast. Yashoda Mai, in her affection, she began to examine Krishna's limbs, and she saw the marks from the various battles that Krishna fought in Mathura, in Dwarka, When Krishna was in Vrindavan, he killed so many demons, but he never got any scars. He never used a weapon. Kaliya, he just danced on his hoods and defeated him. Vatsasura, he just whirled him around. Aghasura, he just went inside of his mouth and grew big. But because he was in Aghasura's mouth, nobody saw that Krishna grew big. Otherwise, no one ever detected. When Krishna killed all the Asuras that came to Vrindavan, it was just playing like a child. But in Mathura, there was great battles. Jarasandha with great wars. Yashodamai saw marks on Krishna's body, and it broke her heart, and she brought very fragrant, sweet medicinal oils and massaging all the little marks on Krishna's bodies to make him feel good. Krishna was surrounded by the residents of Vrindavan, and then they approached Nanda Bhavan, Krishna's childhood home. Krishna asked permission from his elders to come back into his home. They entered the Nanda Bhavan. Krishna, along with his Gopa friends, they were home. Yashodamai made a wonderful dinner. And the next morning, after Krishna ate his breakfast, he came to interact with all the devotees. And at that time, Nanda Maharaj held a grand festival to welcome Krishna back to Vrindavan. Up until this point, in the interactions that we have described, there was such happiness in this reunion that all the Brajavasis, they were so absorbed with being with Krishna, they completely, totally forgot that he ever left. It was just like the next day from over 100 years before. That was their absorption in just being in the present moment with Gopal. All countries, after great battles and wars, they have heroes' welcomes, where there's parades to welcome, to honor, and to celebrate the victory of a hero. To the ultimate degree, this was what was happening in Vrindavan. By the power of Yogamaya, to facilitate Nanda Maharaj's desire to have this festival, now the Brajavasis, they knew Krishna had killed all the Asuras and all the Asuras' armies on the whole earth. And now, after all that, he's come home. And he's our Gopal, he's our Shyamasundar, he's our Gopinath. It was a hero's welcome, but yet, with the full sweetness of the rasa of Vrindavan. They could celebrate Krishna killing all demons and coming home, but yet at the same time, Yashoda, Nanda, and all the elder cowherd men and cowherd ladies, they still were feeling in their hearts, by the power of Krishna's love, that he was just their child. That he conquered the world, that's a detail. That all this Kurukshetra stuff, that's just, we've heard about that. But our Gopal is just innocent cowherd boy, completely depending on our love. That is the spirit of Vrindavan. The ceremony was infinitely sweet. By Yogamaya's potency and Krishna's will, as soon as that festival ended, they forgot everything except the present moment of reciprocating with Krishna's affection. And Krishna, again, he was a playful cowherd boy. And his sweetness was the only reality. He went to visit the cows. And the loving relation, the cows were licking him and smelling him, and he was caressing them and whispering secrets in their ears. And the cows, they had such motherly love for Krishna. Just to reciprocate with their love, Krishna milked every cow simultaneously. And each cow is thinking, Krishna's only with me. One morning, Gopal, just like long ago, but as if it was yesterday, he entered the forest with the cowherd boys. Subala, Sridama, Stoka Krishna, Ujjvala, Madhamangal. And it was exactly the same way as they would do when Krishna was a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. They entered the forest playing their flutes and playing their horns and dancing and singing. All the little packs of lunch that their mothers arranged for them. The only difference when they entered the forest now was there were no more demons in the world. Krishna had killed them all. So now there was no distraction from their playing. Very unique, very special. The only difference between now and Krishna's Vrindavan Leela was they could just play all day long without being distracted by asuras. And each night, Krishna would meet with Srimati Radharani and gopis in the beautiful moonlight of the Vrindavan forest to perform their supreme leelas or pastimes of Madhurya Ras. During this time, Krishna wanted the ultimate happiness. He wanted to really replicate Vrindavan. He called for Daruka and told Daruka, go to Dwarka and bring Balaram, and bring Rohini, and bring Uddhava. So Daruka was a very fast driver. He came back on chariot with Balaram, Rohini, and Uddhava. As soon as Balaram and Krishna saw each other, Balaram immediately manifested himself as a cowherd boy. And he jumped off the chariot, and Krishna and Balaram embraced. After so many years of living together, well over a century, Krishna and Balaram were together as cowherd boys in Vrindavan. The affection they shared, meeting again in this rasa, overwhelmed all the residents in Vrindavan. And there was an insurmountable outpour of happiness. And Yashodamai and Rohini ran together and embraced. There was endless tears of happiness. Krishna spent 2 months in Vrindavan with Balaram and Brijavasis. And there's a beautiful, most wondrous story that Jiva Goswami narrates. Perhaps we could speak another time. But after the 2 months, Krishna told Nanda Maharaj, I never want to leave Vrindavan again, ever. And Krishna was crying. He was so happy to be home. Nanda Maharaj, he cried. He said that we were withering away and dying when you left. We wanted to enter fire, but the fire of the separation of the residents of Vrindavan made even the fire of devastation look insignificant. We were drowning in an ocean of separation. But in that ocean, even the oceans of the world seemed insignificant. So there was no way we could leave our bodies as long as the promise of your return was in our hearts. It was impossible for anyone to give up their life. Hope against hope, we were waiting. If you leave again, we will never survive. But there was a dilemma. Krishna had 16,108 wives. And he had his mother and his father, and he had the whole Yadu dynasty, who also had unconditional, ecstatic love for him. And they didn't even know he went to Vrindavan. He was gone 2 months. They just thought, he fought Salva, and he must have been diverted somewhere. Nanda Maharaj said, please never leave again. Nanda Maharaj's heart revealed such a level of compassion. He pleaded with Krishna, never leave again Vrindavan. But at the same time, Vasudev, Devaki, and all the residents of the Yadu dynasty who are your family, they should not have to suffer like we did. Promise me, Krishna, that you will never leave Vrindavan and you will also never leave Dwarka. Krishna agreed. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami describe how Krishna performed 3 pastimes at the same time. With his chariot, he expanded it to a very, very large size and put a limitless number of Brijavasis on that chariot. And the chariot went higher and higher into the sky. They passed the heavenly planets. They passed Brahmaloka. They entered the Brahmajyoti, the spiritual sky. They passed the Vaikuntha planets. And they were brought to the eternal spiritual world of Goloka. Simultaneously, Krishna ended his Prakata Lila, his manifested Lila, and the beautiful pastimes with his most confidential, intimate devotees continues here. The Nitya Lila, the eternal pastimes of the Lord, is here. But by Krishna's will, the veil, the curtain of Yoga Maya, made these pastimes invisible to any ordinary person. Only those with pure, unalloyed, ecstatic love, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena, could perceive and actually feel the eternal presence of Krishna's pastimes here in Vrindavan. Where we are sitting is the eternal spiritual world. Where we are sitting, the eternal pastime of Krishna and Gopas and Gopis are happening always. The Aprakata Lila continued. And simultaneously, Krishna got back on a chariot of Daruka, along with Balaram, Rohini, and Uddhava, and returned to Dwarka. And when they returned to Dwarka, the people of Dwarka actually accept those on the chariot. Now all the Brijavasis disappeared. They either disappeared into the Aprakata Lila, where they were no longer in material realm, or they went back to Goloka in the spiritual sky. Other than them, nobody knew that Krishna went back to Vrindavan. What we're discussing, nobody knew. The residents of Dwarka just thought after Krishna killed Salva, there must have been people on the way who were inviting him for prasad and all of that. It's a little late. And not long after that, Krishna concluded his pastimes within this world after 125 years. Krishna's great-grandson, Vajranabha, was born in Dwarka. But after Krishna left this world, Vajranabha was especially entrusted with the most intimate service of reviving the spirit and the bhakti in Vrindavan. So now I will begin today's lecture. It will be a short, very short lecture. Krishna's queen, Rukmini, gave birth to Pradyumna. Pradyumna married Mayavati. Their child was Aniruddha. Aniruddha married Usha. And the son of Usha and Aniruddha was Vajranabha. According to Skanda Purana, Vajranabha also resides as the thunderbolt symbol on the sole of Krishna's right foot. So literally, he's eternally residing on the lotus foot of Krishna. That is his eternal home. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shikshastakam, he prays to be a dust at the feet of Krishna. Vajranabha is one of the symbols residing in the home of Krishna's lotus foot. After Lord Krishna and Balaram concluded their manifested pastimes in this world, Yudhisthira Maharaj and the Pandavas lost all their will to carry on. And they retired from their service and went to the Himalayas searching for Krishna. Before Yudhisthira Maharaj left the world, he coronated Parikshit Maharaj as the emperor of the earth. And Yudhisthira Maharaj coronated Vajranabha as the king of Mathura. Vajranabha was living in Mathura. And one day, Parikshit Maharaj, the emperor, came down from Hastinapur to visit him and asked Vajra, "Tell me, how is everything?" Vajra said, "The city of Mathura is flourishing, but the forest of Braja is completely desolate. There's nothing there. There's literally no one there. Where have all the Brijabasis gone?" Vajranabha was in a very, very deep, despondent, pitiful state. Parikshit Maharaj invited one of the teachers of Nanda Maharaj to come. His name is Sandilya Muni. Sandilya Muni, he described that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he came into this material world to manifest the eternal spiritual world and the most loving pastimes of the spiritual world. He manifested these pastimes even for ordinary people to see. But when he left, these pastimes, they are still happening, but no longer can any ordinary person see them. And therefore what you see is a completely desolate, uninhabited forest. There was literally nothing there. Everything entered into Krishna's internal Leela. Sandilya Muni told Vajranabha, it is your service to manifest the glories of Vrindavan once again. Everything will be revealed to you. It is your great-grandfather's wish. Now, you install deities all around Vrindavan. You restore villages. You discover, reveal, and excavate the holy places of Krishna's pastimes. And you revive the supreme spirit and culture of Braj Bhakti. And everything will be revealed to you. That is your mission. Then this great Muni departed. And Parikshit Maharaj told Vajranabha, any assistance you need, I'll help you. And then he left. So Vajra, from Mathura, he came back into the Vrindavan forest. And he walked around and he searched, but there was no one to be found. It just looked like an ordinary forest. Kind of the way some of us may be seeing Vrindavan today with our mundane vision. But he didn't have mundane vision. He searched and he searched and he prayed. But he felt himself hopeless and helpless. He came to the bank of Yamuna and sat under a kalpavriksha tree. And there, in compassion for all living beings and love for his great-grandfather and all his devotees, he cried. Actually, when I read this story in the Gopal Champu, I was remembering when Srila Prabhupada came to Butler, Pennsylvania, and New York City, and he was trying so hard to do the mission of his Guru Maharaj, but everything seemed to be failing, and it seemed so hopeless, and it seemed so helpless. But similarly, as Vajranabha was crying under the kalpavriksha tree, he heard a voice. The voice said, Vrindavan will be revealed to you. that moment, right before Vajranabha's eyes, the supreme full glory of the eternal spiritual world of Vrindavan was revealed to Vajranabha. And he excavated those sites and revealed them for ordinary people to see. This is what Sandilya Muni requested Vajranabha to accept as his life and soul. Make Vrindavan a place of pilgrimage for all ordinary people from all places to come and feel Krishna's presence and cultivate Krishna's devotional service. He installed many, many deities. 16 were prominent. Govinda Dev, Hari Dev, Baladev, Adi Keshav Dev in Mathura, 4 Devas, 4 Mahadevs, Gopeshwar Mahadev, Bhuteshwar Mahadev, Kameshwar Mahadev, and Chakaleshwar Mahadev. And he installed 4 Devis, Brinda Devi, Yogamaya Devi, Patala Devi, and Manasi Devi. And he installed 2 Naths, Gopinath and Srinathji, and 2 Gopals, Madan Gopal and Shakshi Gopal, who was moved to Orissa, and many, many other deities. But these were prominent in each direction of Braj Bhumi. What Vajranabha did is he restored the full glory of Vrindavan as a place of pilgrimage for all time to come. And he restored so that, again, Vrindavan was the most beautiful, spiritually charged place of love and devotion in the entire universe. But after many thousands of years passed, approximately 4,000 years, by the natural influence of time, almost all places were forgotten. And it was at that time that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to Vrindavan. One of his great missions was to reveal the glories of Vrindavan to the world. When Lord Chaitanya took initiation in Gaya from Srila Ishwara Puri, immediately after initiation, he was running to come to Vrindavan. But demigods spoke from sky and said, you have a mission to establish Harinam Sankirtan movement. That's why you incarnated. You can go to Vrindavan later. So he went to Navadvip and established the Harinam Sankirtan movement. And then he took sannyas in Katwa from Keshav Bharati Maharaj. And as soon as he took sannyas in the initiation, he was given danda and the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He said, I am going to Vrindavan. And he began running to Vrindavan. But Nityananda Prabhu, knowing that the devotees in Navadvip and Shantipur were dying in separation, he redirected Lord Chaitanya back. And in Shantipur, he was going to go to Vrindavan from there. But his mother, Sachi Devi, with her motherly love, she looked at Nimai. His beautiful hair was gone. His beautiful garments were replaced with the drab robes of a sannyasi. She cried. And Nimai, he bowed to his mother. He was so overwhelmed by her love. He said, I made a great mistake taking sannyas. My body belongs to you. How could I do it without your desire? Now, if you like, I'll stay with you. Sachi Devi said, I only want what's best for you. You cannot stay with me. But if you go to Vrindavan, I'll never hear your pastimes. I'll never hear your welfare. The same Krishna in Vrindavan lives in Puri as Lord Jagannath. And we're very happy that Ram Kumar Maharaj, one of the great pujaris of Jagannath in Puri, and one of the most well-wishing, loving mentors and friends of us, has come here to join our yatra. And by Lord Jagannath's mercy upon us, today is Ram Kumar Maharaj's birthday. So Krishna went to Puri, but still, it was one of the greatest passions of his mission was to reestablish Vrindavan as a holy place of pilgrimage. He instructed Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, he entrusted them to go to Vrindavan and live here for the rest of their lives, to establish temples and deity worship, to discover the lost ancient deities that Vajranabha had installed 4,500 years before, to rediscover and excavate the holy places, to write Vaishnava literatures, extracting the essence of all Vedas, and establish pure devotional service in Vrindavan as the topmost prema, or love of God. And by their own behavior and character, to demonstrate the true qualities of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was living in Puri, but he always wanted to go to Vrindavan. And after many attempts to go, and many attempts for the devotees to keep him in Puri, before he actually this is, after he instructed Rupa and Sanatan, he had to come back. He met them in Ramakeli. He had to come back to Puri because there were so many millions and millions of people coming to Vrindavan with him. Sanatan said, if you go with so many people, you will not be able to really appreciate the solitude of Vrindavan. So he went back to Puri, and he told Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar how much he was longing to go, but he would not go without their permission. So with their permission, along with Balabhadra Bhattacharya, one very new devotee, he made that historic walk, his pilgrimage to Vrindavan. Some of us have taken airplanes, trains, cars. Lord Chaitanya walked, and it wasn't an easy walk. He went through Jharikanda forest, but he was so enthusiastic to go to Vrindavan. He was so eager and anticipating to return to Vrindavan. Krishna was so eager to return to Vrindavan after Mathura and Dwarka. That's why I told the story first. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radha. Always in Puri, he's absorbed in feelings of separation from Vrindavan. And now he's on his way. And in his ecstasy, he's giving ecstatic love of God. In South India, he gave to so many people without discerning who is fit or non-fit. In Jharikanda forest, he was giving the pure ecstatic love of God to deers and insects and tigers and elephants and trees and bushes and creepers and vines. He was inducing everyone and everything to cry in the ecstatic feelings of devotion to Krishna while chanting the holy names. We may have disputes, we may have different natures, and we use that as an excuse to have disputes. But Lord Chaitanya showed what's possible for real devotees. He had deers and tigers. They really have different natures. A deer sees a tiger as death personified. And a tiger sees a deer as a delicious feast. They had nothing compatible. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a tiger on the ground, sleeping, and he kicked the tiger in the head and said, chant Hari, Hari. And the tiger jumped up in the air, weeping tears of love, chanting Hari, Hari. And soon all the tigers were chanting in kirtan. Then Lord Chaitanya saw deers. And he requested them to chant Hari, Hari. And then he brought the deers and the deers and the tigers together. And what did they do? As far as their background and their history, the deers could be saying, for so many generations, you tigers have been killing my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents. You've just been slaughtering us mercilessly. And the tigers could be saying, you belong to me. You are meant to be eaten by me. That was since beginning of time. Conditioning. But when they began to chant the holy names for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya sincerely, they were seeing each other as spirit souls. They were appreciating each other's devotion. The tigers and the deers while they were having kirtan, dancing together, they embraced. They embraced and sprinkled each other with tears of love for each other. And according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they kissed each other. Now that's a very high level that we can't imitate. What excuse do we have for all our fighting? This is what the world needs. This is what Lord Chaitanya has come to give. And this is what our acharyas have risked their lives to entrust with us. These are not just stories. This is the deepest, purest spiritual reality. And yes, there will be so many disappointments from within and without. But still, this is what is at the heart of the gift of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, that's accessible to all of us. But we need association, we need sadhana to have the faith to carry on. And by Krishna's grace, this treasure will be given. After delivering the animals and the plants and the trees and the forest and the insects, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, still so eager and anticipating to come to Vrindavan. He went to so many different types of people who were completely uncivilized and no morals, no principles, no anything. And he was giving Harinam Sankirtan and pure devotional service to them. And he came to Varanasi. And there he set the stage for his return. He met Tapan Rishma, Chandrasekhar Acharya. From Varanasi, he continued his journey and reached Mathura. When he came to Mathura, the first thing he did was he bathed at Vishram Ghat. The same place Krishna bathed after he killed Kamsa, and the same place Krishna bathed when he came back over a century later. He met one Sanodiya Brahman. Lord Chaitanya saw his love for God. He said, by seeing your love, you must have met Madhavendra Puri. And he said, yes, he is my guru. When he came through Vrindavan, he took prasad at my house and blessed me. And they became such close friends. Lord Chaitanya was offering obeisances to him. He said, you're a sannyasi, I'm grihasta. How can you offer obeisance to me? Lord Chaitanya said, you are a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. You are a god brother of my guru. I worship you. And Sanodiya Brahman could understand Lord Chaitanya's true identity. They worshipped each other. And one beautiful pastime just before I end, hopefully. He invited Lord Chaitanya. He invited Lord Chaitanya to his home and gave food to Balabhadra Bhattacharya to cook. Lord Chaitanya said, why are you not cooking? He said, because I'm Sanodiya Brahmins are very low class in the social status, were not allowed to cook for Brahmins or sannyasis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Madhavendra Puri, you cooked for him. He's my Param Guru. Lord Chaitanya said, the Vedas, the Puranas, and the great sages have many differences of opinion on certain subjects. But we can understand the actual truth of what is real and what is to be done by examining the character and the example of those who love Krishna. Mahajano yena gatasa panta. We can argue endlessly over so many subjects, but our path is to understand at the very heart of our philosophy is to follow in the footsteps of the great souls. So Sanodiya Brahman cooked for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya invited him to come into the Vrindavan forests. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu roamed through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Puri, he was totally absorbed in deep, ecstatic love for Krishna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the pathway traveling to Vrindavan through Jharikanda and other places, that ecstasy of love for Krishna increased 100 times. And when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered Mathura, that ecstatic love for Krishna increased 1,000 times. And when Lord Chaitanya was roaming through the 12 forests of Vrindavan, that ecstasy of love for Krishna increased 100,000 times. That was Lord Chaitanya's feeling, being where we are now. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was welcomed by the cows and the parrots, and the peacocks were dancing, and the cows were licking him, and he was caressing them, and the birds were singing for him. And the Brijavasis, it was like a welcome home. Kaviraj Goswami describes, while roaming through the 12 forests, he came to Aritagram. And there he was asking the residents, where is Radha Kund? But they never knew. So he sat under a tamal tree, and there he recognized two small puddles of water in a paddy field were Radha Kund and Shama Kund. The villagers were astonished. Here is this most beautiful, merciful, great saint ecstatically bathing in these puddles in a field. He offered prayers glorifying Radha Kund as the highest place in all the universe. Just as Srimati Radharani is supremely dear to Krishna, Sri Radha Kund is equally dear to Krishna because Radha Kund is so dear to Srimati Radharani. And anyone who bathes in Radha Kund even once with pure faith and devotion receives the same love as Srimati Radharani. He was crying these prayers. He was bathing in the water. He was dancing and chanting on the banks of Radha Kund. He placed the tilak of the mud of Radha Kund on his body. And then he came to what in Chaitanya Charitamrita is known as Sumanas Srovar. Today we call it Kushum Srovar. And just beyond that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his first darshan of Govardhan Hill. Lord Chaitanya offered his dandavats, his prostrated obeisances, in ecstatic love. And the first rock he saw of Govardhan Hill, in the mood of Sri Radharani being reunited with Lord Sri Krishna, he embraced that rock of Govardhan. Then he came to Manasi Ganga and bathed here and performed his Govardhan Parikrama. Govardhan Parikrama was established by Krishna, as we will hear in next few days. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was longing to see Gopal, Madhavendra Puri's temple. Just a few minutes away from where we're sitting today is where Gopal was residing. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his bhav, his mahabhav, he saw that every stone of Govardhan Hill is Krishna. Not only Krishna, but the greatest, most intimate devotee of Krishna. And therefore he would never touch his feet to any part of Govardhan Hill. And there's a beautiful pastime. Lord Chaitanya went to Govinda Kund, and there he was meditating upon his separation from seeing Gopal. And Gopal arranged to see Lord Chaitanya. Some people came to the Anakuta village and said, there are Turkish soldiers about to attack. You must hide Gopal and everyone should evacuate. So for 3 days, Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted and prayed to Srinathji Gopal in the village of Gantuli. And when Gopal returned to his temple at Govardhan Hill, the Mahaprabhu danced in kirtan up until Gopal ascended the hill. Lord Chaitanya stayed below and offered his obeisances. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes Lord Chaitanya. He came to Vrindavan on Kartik Purnima, which is the full moon at the end of the Kartik month. And he stayed for 2 months. It's very interesting. Uddhava stayed in Vrindavan for 2 months. When Krishna, the story I told, that's why I told that story, from the Gopal Champu, when Krishna returned to Vrindavan after such long separation, he stayed for 2 months. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained here for 2 months. How could he ever leave this place? Out of his love and mercy for all of us. Essentially for the same reason Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan. He left Vrindavan to inspire the Harinam Sankirtan movement and to reciprocate with the love of his devotees in Jagannath Puri in Bengal. It's described he was getting so many invitations by so many Brijavasis. And Balabhaja Bhattacharya had to deal with it. and he was overwhelmed. He didn't want to offend the Brijabasis. But Lord Chaitanya wasn't going to any of their homes. So he explained to Lord Chaitanya, I'm in great distress, I'm in great anxiety, there's so much pressure, I don't know what to tell them. So just to serve his servant, Lord Chaitanya accepted to leave Vrindavan. But how glorious was that journey. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed from Vrindavan, he went to Prayag. There he met Rupa Goswami and spoke to him for 10 days. In Varanasi, he spoke to Sanatana Goswami for 2 months. During that same visit, Lord Chaitanya transformed Prakashananda Saraswati and all the Mayavadi sannyasis into great Vaishnavas. And it was from Prayag and Varanasi that Lord Chaitanya again reiterated his instructions for Rupa and Sanatan to return to Vrindavan. He said, you can visit me once more in Puri. But after they did, they came here and never left again. Gopal Bhatta Goswami met Lord Chaitanya when a small child in South India. Gopal Bhatta Goswami surrendered his life, but Lord Chaitanya said, stay with your parents. After his parents, Venkata Bhatta and his mother, after they passed away, he was going to Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya sent message, go to Vrindavan. What does that mean? He'll never see the Lord again in his life. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was living with Lord Chaitanya in Puri. He sent him to Vrindavan to assist in this great mission of restoring Vrindavan as a holy place of pilgrimage for the world. Establishing temples, deities, writing transcendental Vaishnava literatures, and exhibiting the qualities of devotee behavior. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, Lokanath Goswami, Bhugarba Goswami. These are all intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya. He sent them all to Vrindavan to live for the rest of their lives. Not to retire, but to serve his mission. When Lord Chaitanya sent Lokanath Goswami to Vrindavan, it totally broke his heart. I want to be with you. Actually, we see in all these cases, every one of them, they wanted to just be with Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya, they knew if they followed his instruction, they would never see him again. The idea of Vani and Vapu. The deepest Vapu is actually when we surrender to Vani. We could truly experience the presence of our beloved gurus according to our willingness to surrender with love to please them. So we have come by such mercy. And when Srila Prabhupada was riding on that cargo ship of Jaladuta, and when he was wandering around strange foreign lands, he was struggling in Moscow, and struggling in America, and struggling in Europe, and struggling in Australia, and struggling in Africa. What is so supreme, the place that is so supremely dear to the Lord and the greatest saints that have ever lived. Srila Prabhupada was inviting us to receive that treasure, the prema dan, the treasure of their love. So yes, we are very grateful to be here. With our hearts and souls, let us take shelter of the holy names. Take shelter of their narrations of Krishna's pastimes and teachings. And take shelter of the opportunity to serve the Lord and all the devotees. Thank you very much. Everyone, please dance. We will have a short kirtan, and then together we will sing the Damodar Astakam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Bhastyadesha Dharine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please raise your arms. Very loudly, with great feeling. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time, tens and millions of times louder with great feeling. Everyone together. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna